Hello, and welcome to another episode of Thrive Like a Parent podcast. Today, we're diving into a topic that affects millions of women, but somehow still gets whispered about in hushed tones, which is pelvic floor health. Our guest is Dr. Courtney from 360 Wellness, who's on a mission to revolutionize how we think about women's strength from the inside out. She's not just treating symptoms with the same 5 exercises every PT gives you. She's built a science backed approach that's helping women get back to deadlifting, running, marathons, and living without fear of leaking when they laugh. Or maybe jumping on trampolines too, right?
Right.
This conversation is going to get real, get practical, and probably challenge everything you've thought you knew about recovery. So, Dr. Courtney, thank you so much for being here and welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. I would love for you to first tell everyone, and I kind of start with this question with everyone. Instead of me, which, yes, I just kind of introduced you, but I'd love for you to tell everyone about your story, who you are, what makes you you, and how you've gotten to this place in your life and within your career.
Well,
That's how it feels
and
here in Austin. So I feel you. I don't know
similar
what's going
climates,
on.
right?
Right.
Yeah, by trade, doctor of physical therapy, and found a unique journey towards women's health. I grew up always wanting to treat, women, female athletes, because I was a female athlete. I was surrounded by it all the time. And I always knew I wanted to be a physical therapist. Like that was on my radar the whole time. So I didn't have any like a pivotal moment when I was young to get here. I was just like, I just want to help, female athletes. And so as I like kind of went to school and did all of the schooling and things like that, I knew that deep down inside, women were struggling with way more than surface level things like knee pain and hips and shoulders and just like regular sports injuries, right?
Mhm.
So actually, my journey started when I was in physical therapy school. And I always told everybody, I'm like, I'm never going to be a pelvic floor physical therapist because, like, ew, like, what is that? That sounds gross. And I was a big CrossFit girly. Like, I drank the Kool Aid and I was training heavy all of the time. And my recovery was shit, quite frankly. And I started struggling with leakage and pelvic floor issues and hip pain and like, a chronic hip injury that literally would like keep me out of the game. And all the time, I just swept it under the rug. I was like, "Oh, well, that time I was like, what, 24?" And all the other women in the gym were like, "Well, like, we just go to the bathroom before we run, or we just go to the bathroom 10 times before we jump." And a lot of them were moms. And through that whole time, I'm like, "Okay, well, I guess it's normal. All of these women deal with it." But then as I kept going through education, I was like, "This is so abnormal. This is not good. This is not healthy." And I was like, "Okay, if I'm going to be treating female athletes and hips and knees and shoulders, I'm like, I'm going to go get certified in pelvic floor. I'm going to treat myself. I'm going to fix myself. And then I'm going to go help women do the same thing. Change the taboo, change the topics that everyone's talking about and how normal it is, and then recreate a story." So I did that and then started I kind of, worked in a clinic for a couple years as a new grad, gaining my skill set and all of that with some mentoring. And then I was seeing 3 to 4 patients an hour. Nobody was getting better. It was absolute shit care. Like I hated it. I came home burnt out. Like topic of burnout, like I was a new grad physical therapist, 28 years young, right? Walking home or coming home from work, literally just like staring at the wall, like, what the fuck did I just get into? Like, nobody was getting better. I was killing myself in the process, like living for the weekends, living for trips, like just to feel something again. And then finally, I was like, screw this. Like, I started my own company and am rewriting the blueprint of what actually true women's healthcare looks like for women who are pregnant, postpartum, menopause, whatever, struggling with pelvic floor issues. And that's how we got here.
Our story is actually very similar. And I think it's an important story to touch on with anyone who's listening, because what you're basically saying is that the medical model is broken and you didn't necessarily feel like you were doing what you were setting out to do, right?
Literally.
And trying to help women, but seeing, a few people per hour doesn't really give you enough time to really, and probably once a week, right? Doesn't really give you enough
Yeah.
time to really deep dive and give them all that you felt they were wanting and needing. Like if you think about it, whether you're a busy mom who is like I can't stand the fact that I'm leaking, right? And I need to do this for myself. You've got to get your ass to the clinic, right? You've got to find time, the drive there, the drive back, the sitting, the waiting, the doing the work, which it's not fun to like do pelvic floor hoo ha work, right? Like, let's spread our legs, And yes, not all of it is
Yeah.
spreading our legs, but it's adding something else to the list. And when I was in pediatrics, same thing, very young clinician, working in a hospital setting, I would see at least 15 kids a day, if not 20 a day, 30 minutes back to back to back to back to back to back to back. And
Yep.
in New Orleans, our computer system was a little antiquated and we were still doing hand charting, which is like
Mm-mm.
no one does that anymore, right? So I would have a stack of notes piled high that I would grab every morning of like, okay, this is my Monday caseload. This is my Tuesday caseload. And I would have to write my notes at the end of each session, or I'd have to write them on my lunch break. So if I'm only getting 30 minutes with the kid, I have to think about, okay, who's coming in my door? What are their goals? What activities can I do? I'm throwing something together without a lot of time in between. I'm doing the notes, at the last 5 minutes. I also need to come out an extra 5 minutes early to talk to the parent about what we did, how we went, what they can do at home. So, really, that child's getting 15 to 20 minutes of treatment.
Yeah.
Right. And so I very quickly saw that that medical model was broken. And sometimes at the end of the day, those kiddos that I would see towards the tail end of the day, I still had 8 notes to write and I felt burnt out just like you. And I was like, I'm not staying after to write my notes. Like I have
No.
just like pounded the pavement to get all these clients seen. You better
Yeah.
believe I'm heading out the door right at 5 o'clock. So I'm gonna rush and have this child do a puzzle, or whatever it is, write my notes, and then this child and I are gonna start, which did not feel right to me. It did not feel okay, especially when there's parents, again, usually moms taking the child out of school, bringing them to us, the drive there, the drive back, all the things, right? So I think it's very important that not only did I see in a completely different field, right, that the medical model was broken, but you absolutely saw that as well. Our genre of treatment is very similar. You're a PT, I'm an OT. And doctors will see clients, give diagnosis, or see them for maybe 15 minutes and they're in and out and in and out. Doctors really don't get much information when they're going through schooling. They may have spent like one afternoon with us for like 2 hours where they just sit and observe to
Yeah.
understand what OT is. That's literally it, right? So, like, yes, doctors diagnose, they aren't proficient or have the backing and understanding of how to treat, right? So, when we think, oh my gosh, my doctor's going to fix me, oh my gosh, my doctor's going to fix me, that's actually not who does the fixing, right? It's the PTs, the OTs, the speech, the rec therapists, the like it's all
Literally.
the therapies that you get that are doing the actual treatment to get you where you want to be.
Mhm.
So once you decided to step out on your own and write your own rules, what changed? Like what for you changed in terms of how you created and built a new medical
Yeah.
model for yourself or this population?
Yeah, great question. And one that like I pride my entire business model on is the wellness aspect of the person in front of me. I treat the entire
Mhm.
body. A pelvic floor is literally a group of muscles at the bottom of the pelvis. It's one muscle group. Like we do way more than that. And I think a lot of people realize like, oh, it's coming to therapy and getting my legs spread open and someone to manually assess those muscles. And that's it. It's like, holy cow, do you know how much we go through as women, first of all? And all the aspects of pain, if, I'm sure you're familiar with like chronic pain and the evolution of chronic pain and opioid disruption of the entire like world. Everyone's on opioids because of pain. And there's pain is so multifactorial. Symptoms are multifactorial. And so when I created my business model, I'm like, I'm not just going to address the one group of muscles. Like, because if that were the case, everybody out there doing Kegels would be freaking cured. Am I right? Like
Right.
nobody would be peeing themselves, nobody would have pain with sex. Everybody would be happy go lucky because they're doing their Kegels every day. So when I created my
Mhm.
model, I'm like, I'm going to treat the whole person. I'm going to look at their core. how they're breathing. What is their mobility of their hips, their lumbar spine? How strong are their glutes? Literally all facets of their physical body, but then also the emotional side too. When women are going through pregnancy and a postpartum time period, they're not sleeping, they're stressed out of their mind, maybe their partner's unsupportive, they're eating like shit, they don't have any family system around them. Like there's an emotional toll on them that also plays a role into their pain and the cycle of what they're feeling. And so when I created my company, I was like, I'm going to look at their emotional, their physical, as well as their mental well-being and how well are they set up to actually heal. You're huge in nervous system work. And so most women can't heal when their bodies are in chronic fight or flight or they're burnt out from life. All of these things. And we could go on an entire rant about, I was like, so I want to treat all of that. And that truly is how people get better. It's not a medication. It's not a surgery. It's not a quick fix. It's not a Kegel. It's not a core exercise. It's literally looking at the whole person in front of you, hearing their story, and then creating a customized plan for them that are it literally makes sense. It's like, oh no shit, I haven't been able to get better in the last 10 years because my doctor never told me this. And the only thing that they gave me was a pill for my overactive bladder, told me to do Kegels, made me do bladder installations, and then sent me to pelvic floor therapy to get internal manual therapy done. It's like, well, yeah, that makes sense. That checks out. That's like the most easy quick fix of it all. And we live in a time, of course, that we want quick fixes. We want instant gratification. People want that quick solution. But that's not how the body works. We're not meant to be humans that just like, yep, that's the one solution you need. You have to look at everything. And that's really where it came for me. And I was like, I need to create something that women truly actually need. And that's kind of
Yeah.
how I got started. And now where I'm at today.
Hang on 2 seconds. I want to shut the door really. Your quick fix comments ring really strong for me because with blowing up the medical model, if you will, right? With going out on your own and saying, you know what, I'm going to do this differently. We're doing things that haven't been done in the past. We're doing things that are innovative, or we're doing things that maybe require our clients to even pay out of pocket, right? Rather than using their insurance, which when I owned my own clinic, we took insurance, right?
Yeah.
I don't take insurance anymore. And so things are vastly different, but it's because the medical model is based on quick fixes. The medical model is based on in and out, right? Like, even if you think about how many days women used to stay in the hospitals when they would have their baby. And now I'm not saying there's or I'm not saying that there's one way is better than the other, right? There's pros and cons to both, but things did not work as fast as they used to now. And so with the way that all of our brains are speeding up and we're so used to getting instant gratification on our phone or having someone text message us right back or sending the email back or getting a response, our brains are then used to that medical model of instant gratification or living in a state of, oh, well, sure, of course I'm going to get an answer right away, right? And so when we don't get that answer right away, when we don't get the instant gratification, there is so much frustration. I literally have a client right now who's keeps using the word impatient. And she's like, I know. I'm impatient. Like, I get it. Like, I understand it. I'm still moving through those feelings of being impatient. But it's none of us have time for this. None of us want to feel our feelings, or none of us want to have to be like, are you serious? Are we really going to have to put in the work? But that is the way you get long term solutions. That is the way that you get the quote fix. That is the way that you get actual support. And if someone is on the internet and telling you it can fix your vagina in 3 days, guarantee you they're lying, right? Like, guarantee you. And it's usually not their vagina, it's usually their muscles, right?
Yeah.
But like that's just all marketing and sales and this quick
Yep.
fix idea of like, oh, well, she told me she could XYZ, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's a battle that individuals who truly do have expertise, who truly do know what they're talking about, who truly do want the best for their clients, it's a battle that we're up against because if someone tells you I can fix your pelvic floor in 2 hours versus you're like, look, we're going to have to work together for 6 months to a year, which one would you choose, right? Because none of us have the time for it,
Mhm.
right? And so it's really trusting who you invest your time and energy into. It's really deciding that this is something that I'm ready to deal with. This is something that I'm wanting to make, and that it's impacting your life enough to want to invest the time and energy into, right?
Absolutely. It really does come down to that. I think there's a lot of people that for so long brushed these issues under the rug
Yeah.
that it's like, "Oh, it's fine. Like, I'll take that quick fix or I'll wear a pessary or I'll wear a pad because it's just like, it's whatever, it's easy." But it's like, you're right. Nobody wants to invest the time and energy into a 6-month healing timeline until they're forced to, until surgery is the next option. And they're like, wait, 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 hold on. Wait, now I need to do something about it. And it's like, holy shit, you could have done something about it 3 years ago and you wouldn't even be in the situation that you're in now. It's crazy.
Yeah. So you have mentioned that you have dealt with this as well, right? How
Mhm.
did you go about supporting your own body through the healing journey?
Yeah. So, I mean, I was in school at the time, and when I struggled with it, I didn't, first of all, in PT school, they don't teach you about the pelvic floor. We had a 1 hour lecture about it. Like, and I was like, ew, gross. Like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wait, that's me. They're talking about me up there. And
Yeah.
so as I learned everything textbook, right? Like, I went through the course and it's like, well, they need to just get their strength out of 5 out of 5. They need to get that
Yeah.
pelvic floor 5 out of 5, do those Kegels. And I tried that and that didn't do anything for me. Listen, I was a CrossFit person who threw barbells over my head and squatted 250 pounds. Like, you think a Kegel was going to stop me from peeing 250 with 250 pounds on my back?
Yeah.
So none of that worked. None of the solutions that the textbook would say, like, oh, you just got to strengthen your core and you just got to get your pelvic floor stronger. Like, none of that worked. And so I was like, okay, well, what if I attack it from a different perspective? And I started just strengthening a lot of like unilateral side to side, like my lower body, like a lot of lunges and single leg squats and single leg RDLs. And I just like really honed in on like smaller muscle groups, like my hip flexors and my glutes, my adductors and my deep core. And I was like, first of all, I had no idea how to activate my deep core when I was actually working out. Like,
Yeah.
when I was a CrossFitter, I was like doing like ab mat sit-ups and all of these like crunches and Russian twists. And I'm like, yeah, my core is so strong. And it was really strong, but like in the wrong ways. And so doing those exercises, I was like, I need to learn how to actually activate my muscles. I was just exercising. I was
Yeah.
going for reps. I was going for weight. I was going to just burn calories. And a lot of us do this still to
Yeah.
this day, is like, we're not training. My hip flexors were so weak. My glutes on their own were so weak. I couldn't even do a single leg squat, but I could squat 250 pounds and make that make sense. So your body finds ways of compensating. And when you really break it down into smaller movement patterns, isolated groups of muscles, you really actually realize how weak you are. And so when I was doing, or when I was squatting, for example, and I had leakage or jump roping or running or whatever, I was like, well, how can I fix this? And it all came back to pressure management. So I learned what pressure management actually was, the true biomechanical way our diaphragm and our core and our pelvic floor work together, and not just isolating the pelvic floor by doing Kegels or just learning how to breathe and fixing my diaphragm. While those things are important, you got to learn how to put it all together and then put it together in exercise so the carryover is there, right? Like, you can't just lay on a table, do your Kegels or do your Kegels sitting in the car at a stoplight and expect it to carry over into a 250-pound back squat or jumping rope or running. So when I was treating myself, I literally was like, how can I manage pressure when I'm actually squatting? And the way I learned to squat was the Valsalva maneuver. I learned from powerlifting coaches, male coaches in the gym that were like, okay, hold your breath, push your belly out into the belt and squat. And I'm like, okay. Like, and I came from athletes or like an athletic background growing up. And so high school coaches, they have no idea what they're doing, you know? And then I got to college and the same thing and CrossFit. And it's like all these male coaches that just think we're small males as women teach the same methods. And I was like, this doesn't make sense. And then I really learned what pressure management was, how to actually activate my core, how to manage my breath when I was under load, when I was jumping, when I was running, and things just cleaned up. I isolated muscle groups that needed to strengthen them by themselves. I learned what true pressure management was. I learned how to activate my core properly. And I got stronger and my symptoms went away. And I was like, wait, this has nothing to do with Kegels. This has nothing to do with random things that people always tell you to do on the internet. It literally just came back to, and then carry it over into physical activity. And all of the symptoms went away. My hip pain went away, chronic hip pain, and things got better.
So through that time of lifting 250 pounds and doing all the CrossFit and having these symptoms for yourself, was there anything going on in your personal life as well, because you talk about how you focus on the whole body, the whole human of what is going
Mm.
on. So, was there emotional things going on as well as physical things for you?
So good, yes. Well, I was in the thick of physical therapy school, and if you remember back to that, like in OT school, PTSD, I don't wanna think about that time period of my life. Chronic stress, like, I was living in fight or flight, and for me, I'm like a
Mhm.
perfectionist, like, still am, I'm very, like, type A if you haven't picked that up yet, but, like, I was like, "Go, go, go." I was striving so hard for perfectionism in my grades, like, I was like, "I'm graduating physical therapy school with a 4.0, like, no one's
Mm,
stopping me." I just put such unreal pressure on myself, and I had that pressure through undergrad, and I was like, "I just need to get to physical therapy school." And I was waitlisted my first year of applying for physical therapy school, so my drive was like, well, first of all, I was rejected, and, like, I took that personal, very personal, and then the second year I got in, I was like, I'm gonna show them, blah, blah, blah,
yeah.
and I was just, like, going for it. And so I had this unreal, like, expectation on myself to get insanely good grades. And so I have ADHD. Like, I wasn't somebody who was, like, really good at, paying attention and short attention span, and I was on Adderall at the time, like prescription Adderall because I was like, I need to get through school. I need to focus. And so I just had all of this like mentality of like push hard. I was training 2 hours in the gym. I was doing these CrossFit competitions because it was an escape from the stress.
Yeah.
And so at the time, like there was just a lot on me emotionally and mentally, and
Mhm.
then obviously physically, I was like beating myself up in workouts because just to feel alive, right? And then recovery was crap. I was injured all the time. I had all these symptoms and I wasn't
Mhm.
sleeping because I was, in class from 8 to 5, studying, wake up at 4:30 in the morning, get to the gym, work out 5 to 7, go to class. Like that was my routine. And I was training 6 days a week. So at the time, like my whole life, I was surviving. I was
Yeah.
not thriving.
Totally. So I'd love to know where you're at now. I mean, starting a business on your own, clearly I have done that as well, right? We also let people know, hey, we're here through social media, right? I did a bit brick and mortar. And for me, if you build it, they will come does not necessarily happen. You have to let them know you have built it, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, I was like, if I'm doing this and I'm starting from scratch, I'm going to do something completely different. And I knew I wanted to do it and market myself through social media because I knew I'd be able to reach the most amount of people potentially, right? In the least amount of time and just say, hey, like I'm here, right? So I'd love to know where you are in terms of emotionally of how has that shifted or is it still a
Mhm,
little bit inside of you in terms of like, I'm going to prove, I'm going to be able
mhm.
to show my worth or look, school wasn't easy for me. So like, I'm like, even though school wasn't easy or it didn't come that
Yeah.
easy to me, like I can still make something of myself or I can still show that I know what I'm talking about. So how does that play a role in your life today?
I mean, it definitely rears its head at times for sure.
Yeah.
And when I first started building my business, I was doing home health physical therapy at the time. Well, actually, I was doing travel physical therapy. I quit my job in the clinic and I was like, I'm going to go travel. And then I quickly found out I was like, after 6 weeks, I was like, screw this. I'm definitely not doing this. I quit on a whim, started home health. And during that time, I was like, I need out of this as soon as possible, but I still needed to pay my bills. So when I was in home health, like I knew that I needed to still make money, of course. Like I had bills and stuff to pay. So when I was doing that and I had that ambition right away, I was
Yeah.
like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to go into people's nasty homes and do that. Like I need out. And so I showed up on social media from day one. I was like, I'm going to make something. I've been virtual the whole time. And so I'm like, I got to make a name for myself online and I got to get good at it because making content, and this was in 2022, early
Yeah.
2022, was easy. That's when the trends were coming out. That's when the
Yeah.
dancing and, like,
Yeah.
pointing reels were in, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, this is easy. I That's all I gotta do. That's all I gotta do." Now that stuff is like, "Oh, swipe," you don't watch. So, it was easy for me, but I was like, "Oh, I gotta post every day. I gotta let these people know that I'm here. They need to come to me." And so when I first started, yeah, I kept that same physical therapy school grind because I was like, I I'm hungry to get out of my situation
Right.
and make money. And I wanted to travel and I wanted time freedom and I wanted all these things. And I'm like, okay, now's the time to do it. I don't have kids. I'm not married. I'm doing it right now. So where I'm at today, fast forward another 3 years, it's definitely still in me a little bit because there's levels to business, right? Like you hit this level and you're like, because when I first started my business, I'm like, oh, if I could just make $10,000 a month, I
Sure.
will have everything I need. That's it. Because when I was in the clinic, I was making what, like 7 grand a month, maybe like $80,000 a year as a
Mhm.
new grad. And I'm like, if I could just make $10,000 a month, I'd be set. I'm good. And as you grow in business, the goalpost always moves. And so you hit 15 and 20 and 25 and you keep going and more money, more problems is what happens, right? And so where I'm at today, to finally answer your question, is balanced. Earlier this year, I hit burnout again.
Yeah.
I've been burned out a couple of times. The first
Mhm.
burnout was physical therapy, quitting my job. Second burnout was entrepreneur burnout. And that
Mhm.
was after 2 years of just grinding. My Instagram blew up in end of 2022. I'm like, yeah, full year of putting in all this effort. And then finally, like I got, over like 50,000 followers. And I'm like, yes, I did it. Now more eyes, more business. And then it just keeps growing steadily. And I feel like after you hit that milestone, you're like, okay, I'm doing it. I'm good. And then I hit burnout again in January, hired my first physical therapist to help my business. And that's when I finally was like, okay, I can breathe. I don't have to take on all these clients myself. I hired people to help me. That was hard. Delegating for the first time, especially your business when you're like, I mean, I've had team members, but like delegating client care to somebody else and like when people come in to work with me, I'm like, oh gosh, like, is this person going to do a good job? Like, this is my brand. And so there's that extra level of pressure and performance and all of that. And then I just hired my second PT a couple months or a month ago now. And it's a balance. Like, I went to therapy this year because I felt this pressure to always show up on social media. Because
Yeah.
when you have a brand and you have this large following, and what my therapist told me earlier this year is she's like, why do you keep saying audience? Like, you have this audience watching you. Because I kept saying this, like, oh, my audience or my followers or whatever.
Yeah.
And so she really like kind of flipped the switch in my brain of like the power of language and just the words that I choose. Cause like audience means performance. And it's like I'm getting on
Mm.
stage and I have to show up and I have to like just like, blah, like be there. She's like, quit using that language. Like you put so much pressure on yourself. It's just social media. People don't need to know what you're doing. You don't owe them anything. And that was like hard to work through for so many years of doing that to grow my business because it's what I wanted for so long. And so today I'm chilling more. I'm finding rest. I'm finding balance between pushing in business, but also giving it to God and being like, God, I surrender my business to you and take what you will and grow me in the facet that you need to grow me. And how can I glorify you and like help more women through you? And so I've been through that journey this year more. And of course, I still launch things. Of course, launched a podcast this year. Of course, I do this and that. But it's like, not out of a performance method, and it's more so because, like, "Oh, I just love yapping. I just wanna talk to cool people. I wanna learn. I wanna." And it's not for like, "Oh, is this gonna grow my business?" You
Mhm.
know? So it's kind of a balance, and I'm out of burnout now. I find joy, but there are times where I worry that I can go back into it easily.
Yeah. And, I think that being a human, not just an entrepreneur, there are seasons of our life that require us to step in, and there are seasons that allow us to step down, right? Maybe
Mhm.
not step out, but step down. There's a push and pull with many different seasons of your life, whether it's I'm in a growth stage or I'm in a rest stage, right?
Mhm.
And when you are reinventing the wheel or trying to do something that hasn't been done, or even letting people know, hey, this exists, or hey, this can look differently, right? It does take time, energy, effort, and a lot of emotional bandwidth, if you
Mhm.
will. The one thing that I would say is that the community that you build, and for me specifically, I guess, the community that I've built has given me back tenfold what I've given them in terms of trust and the willingness to share vulnerably with me and have hard conversations and know that it's okay to share the ugly and we all have the ugly, right? And yes, you are coming on here as an entrepreneur to share about women's health and about the fact that potentially Kegels is totally unnecessary when you're sitting in the carpool line at this point, right? Like maybe you can like check that off your list.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you are still a human, and who is the person behind, right? Who is the person
Mhm.
behind the brand? Who is driving the ship? And by letting others see you and know you and who you are, that builds more trust, that builds more interest and curiosity into I see myself in that person, or I think I could be friends with that human, or like, oh, they're kind of cool, or like they feel like my friend even though I've never met them, right?
Mhm.
And I feel like that towards a lot of my community members. I feel like a lot of my community members are my friends, even though I've never hugged them in person? And so it's a beautiful way to build your own community, right? But it's also a push and pull, like you're saying, as you build, no matter what it is, right? If again, you're going against the grain or you're reinventing the wheel or you're saying, nope, like screw what everyone else has said, Kegels are not the thing. Like, come listen to me. I've got something to say. It does require us to pound the pavement for a little bit of time, right?
It
And I had
does.
to do that with my brick and mortar, right? And with this. And this for me was a very slow burn just because I had started it so I don't even remember it, like probably 2019. I was like, all right, we're gonna check up into this. We're going to figure this out and just kind of see what this is like, right? And so again, it was just very slow paced, making connections, talking to people, building relationships, and like you said, it gets going and then you're like, "All right, I've built it and they have come, so now what do I do?" Right?
Exactly.
Before we head out, I would love to ask you a few quick questions. Sometimes I do this with the people that I bring on, just kind of like a fire round of questions. So
Mhm.
I hate when people ask me questions like this, but I'm going to ask you a question like this anyway. If you could only give three of advice to every woman listening, what would completely change their relationship with their body?
Be your own advocate, first and
Mm,
foremost. Ask questions. Like,
yeah.
oh my
Doctors
gosh.
aren't gods. They're just humans.
Yes.
Ask questions.
If you do not, you will be whatever they tell you to be. You
Yeah,
will
you'll
do
be
whatever they tell you to do.
yeah, yeah,
Like, you have to be your own advocate and fight for your life. Like, fight for what's right for you.
and
Because
trust
yeah,
what you feel inside too.
yes. If
Like,
something
"Nope,
doesn't feel right,
that's not what I want," right?
yep, yes. So, first and foremost that. 2, ditch the Kegels. Please, for the love of God, ditch
I love
the
that.
Kegels. Ditch them. 'Em. Don't ever do
No
them
more
again.
Kegels.
Literally don't ever do them again. I don't think I've ever done a Kegel. I mean, I have, but, like, don't do them, like, first solution for your issues. And 3, get strong.
In what
Strength
way?
and muscle, your muscles. Build your strength from muscle
Okay.
is one of the leading anti-aging solution there is. Like, when you are strong, you are invincible for your entire life. You
And
are
are you talking
independent.
about lean and long, like Pilates get strong, or are you like, "Go pump some iron strong"?
Go pump some iron.
Shit. Okay, fine.
Pump some iron. Pilates is great, but it is not a form of strength training. Let me be very clear. If you are not progressive overloading, you're not going from 5 pounds to 10 pounds to 15 pounds to 20 pounds week after week or month after month, you are not strength training. You are
Okay. Okay, fine.
exercising.
I
Get
like exercise.
strong. I'm not saying go lift 250-pound back squat. I don't even
Yeah,
do
I
that
don't wanna
anymore.
do that.
I maybe lift like 120 pounds now. Like,
I don't wanna do that either, but I'll
but
get
I do
there.
it often
Fine, I'll do
because
more
I
than
want to.
fine, I'll
Yes.
do more than 10 pounds. Okay.
And the reason I say this is because you're less likely to fall when you're
Yeah,
older. You're
yeah,
strong and you're independent. You don't have to ask for help. If
yeah.
you live alone, you can live alone longer. And if you are a woman who's pregnant, you have better postpartum outcomes. If
Mhm,
you are a woman who's postpartum, you have better postpartum outcomes because you trained during pregnancy or
mhm.
you're training during postpartum. You're rebuilding that foundation that was just broken. If you're perimenopause, you're approaching a time period of your life that is going to be much harder to build muscle when you lose estrogen and progesterone. And then if you're in menopause or postmenopause, it's going to be hard for you to build muscle. So do it
Mm,
now. Whatever stage of life you're in, get started right now. It's the best form of
fine.
medicine.
Okay, fine. I'll do it. Something women do every day that's actually sabotaging their pelvic floor without knowing it.
Gripping
Gripping
their
what?
glutes and their abs. Wearing tight clothing can catastrophize this. Gripping your glutes and gripping your pelvic floor and your abs. They kind of all go together. But if you're gripping your glutes, you're gripping your pelvic floor. If you're gripping your abs, you're gripping your pelvic floor and you don't even realize it. Or you're
Okay.
gripping your jaw, clenching your jaw, you're gripping your pelvic floor.
Okay. That's good to know.
Let it go. Let it go. Let your belly go. Let your glutes go. Let your jaw go. Just let it go.
Okay. If every woman listening took one action today that would change her life, what would it be?
Think about your pelvic floor. Don't wait until you're 50 or you're 60 and you have a little bit of leakage to start. Think about it right now. Get educated on what it is, what it does, how you can support it so you're not wearing pads and diapers when you're 60.
Yeah, no one wants that. That's not a cute look.
It's
You won't be
not.
able to wear the tight clothes with a diaper. I
You
can
can
tell you
have
that.
great sex until you're 90. Think about your
Yeah.
pelvic floor right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Tell everyone where they can find you and all the things.
On Instagram, my main handle is the female athlete doc, DOC. That's pretty much my handle for all social media outlets. I'm not a TikToker really. My YouTube channel is Dr. Courtney Johnson. And yeah, I have a lot of great free resources, quizzes, trainings, things that you can watch and utilize to just get started and be more educated. Yeah,
Thank you for being here and thank you for being so open and honest and sharing with us. I really appreciate it.
of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. And until next time, XOXO, Dr. B.